BP Visits is an auditor I've covered before. He's the bossy auditor who likes to go around inspecting businesses and produces a report at the end and gives them a tick if they've got solar panels or whatever. Using one of my previous videos, let's just recap on how BP Visits conducts his auditing. People who support auditors on YouTube don't stop to think what it must be like from the point of view of a person who has to face one of these auditors. These are stills I took from a recent video by BP Visits, in which he's inspecting a line of police cars and vans. You can see his reflection in the windows, which means we can now see what he looks like from the point of view of people who have to confront him. My question to all these people who support auditors is, what would you do if BP Visits or some other auditor paid a visit to your premises or workplace while wearing a mask and dressed like that, and filming you, your staff, and potentially scaring your customers and scaring people away from the premises? An employer has a duty of care to his staff and to anyone visiting his premises. Personally, I will be contacting the police. Since BP Visits appears in public like some sinister bandit, I'm not surprised he often meets with a hostile reception when he goes visiting places. But interestingly, he doesn't have a hostile reception at this place. It's a glassworks in West Yorkshire, and he walks up the access road to it. That road is called Bedale Drive. On Find My Street it says that Bedale Drive is publicly maintainable, but if we look more closely, this only relates to part of that road. It shows here in red the part of Bedale Drive that is supposed to be publicly maintainable, whereas this part of a road that BP Visits enters upon is the bit I've indicated by the green box. In point of fact, I don't believe that Find My Street is correct anyway in stating that any part of Bedale Drive is publicly maintainable. The part that they say is publicly maintainable is actually a road beyond the gates and within the glass plant itself. It can't be publicly maintainable or a highway. BP Visits disagrees.
And it's a massive site, so it goes, well, it's huge. It goes right round there, right, well, you can't even see because of the trees, but yeah, that's the main place we're focusing on today. So let's have a wandering. Now there's lots of authorised vehicles only, but there's a public footpath and cycle path going down here.
I think he's wrong. I base this view on two facts. First, if we take a look at the site on Google Street View, these signs predate his visit by just a few months, so we can assume this is exactly how the signs would have looked when he entered. And what we can see is that it is clearly a private road and forms the access to the site. And you can also see the gate in the middle distance there. It's just common sense that he should not be there. Anybody can see this. I do appreciate the point he makes that you could look at it and decide that the footway is separate. And you can see the blue sign there that means the footway is for pedestrians and cyclists. But he's wrong to make the assumption that it's a public footpath. The definitive map issued by Wakefield Council for the area does not show a public footpath along Bedale Drive. And for it to be a public footpath anyway, we would have to separate the footway from the carriageway in the legal sense, and I see no reason to do that. Where does the footway lead? It's obviously blocked at the end by the glass plant. The fact that there are road traffic signs and road markings along the footway and carriageway does not in itself mean that it's a highway or that the general public have any sort of access. Under Section 1 of the Road Traffic Regulation Act 1984, the local highways authority have the power to regulate traffic along private roads in some circumstances. Or it could be that those signs and markings may even have been put there by the site owners. I don't even believe the initial part of the access road that BP Visits walks on is a highway of any kind, although it is open and the gate is further down. But the reality is that it's an access road only for that glass site and what appear to be offices along the way. Even if we were to be generous to BP Visits and say it's a highway up to the gates, there comes a point when he reaches these gates, they're open, and he decides to walk through and continue. And at that point he clearly then enters onto private land and is trespassing beyond doubt. Just to reinforce my point about trespass and one of the concerns about what this man is getting up to, I'll let you hear his own explanation for the visit.
So I'm going to go down, get as close to the gate as I can, maybe get a bit more information. Is this a glass, is this metal, is this both? And see how it goes from there, so let's go.
Here's the locations page on the Ardagh Group website. Here's a map showing all the office and plant facility locations operated by Ardagh Group. It is indeed a large global concern. Here is the key to the map. On it, if you look closely, you'll see the Knottingley plant is marked as a glass facility. If I search around on Google a bit more, I can find lots of information about the Knottingley plant from official and unofficial sources. Within the space of a few minutes, I can pretty much establish what they do without leaving the comfort of my own home. Having said that, I have no issue with this man turning up at this plant and asking questions, and of course the information available online may not be up to date, and it's no substitute for being there in person. Going out and exploring is better than being cooped up indoors, but I do get the impression that he hasn't done much research beyond finding out what the company does in very broad terms, and then reading it out to his viewers in a boilerplate script at the start of a video.
It says here that the Ardagh Group is a global supplier of sustainable, infinitely recyclable metal and glass packaging for brand owners around the world. The consistent pursuit of market-leading innovation, quality and customer services backed by investment in our people and processes underpins everything we do. So going down a bit, operates 63 metal and glass production facilities in 16 countries. So this is one of those. So it's glass and metal production companies. And they employ 20,000 people and $9 billion sales. Wow.
Anybody can just read off a website, and most of that is just boilerplate marketing prose and not very informative. He doesn't seem to be interested in the company or what it does. He just reads it out like he's a bad actor reading a script. To him, the Ardagh Group are a tool, purely a means to an end. He couldn't even pronounce the company name.
And this time we're at Knottingley and we're at the Ardagh. Ardagh, how do you say it? Ardagh Group.
It's Ardagh. Ardagh Group. I just find it ludicrous that he can make a video about this company and he can't even be bothered to find out how to pronounce the name. Couldn't he have just rung them up? I don't believe BP Visits or his viewers really care about what Ardagh Group do. This video is about provoking a reaction to the filming, and he has to trespass on site to do that. A genuine person would have probably rung up or emailed beforehand and asked if they could come on site for a tour. Believe it or not, private companies do sometimes, not always, but do sometimes agree to give you a tour of industrial sites, as long as you're not trying to wind people up.
So all gates are open. So site smoking rules there, look. This is a no smoking beyond this point site. So I'm assuming that if you want a cigarette, you're going to have to come all the way out here to have a cigarette. So there. You
can clearly see the gates across both the footway and the carriageway. As I've stated, even if we want to be generous to BP Visits and say he wasn't trespassing hitherto, he must be trespassing when he crosses that threshold because he has no reason to be there.
So there's the information for the data handler. So the barriered security on the parking, so I'm assuming that's all the offices there. Again, it's open, look, so I don't know, doesn't say anything about reception. There is a security office up here, so we can speak to them anyway, see what they say.
That part of what he says about reporting to security would be perfectly fair if he was a good faith actor with genuine motivations, a member of the public just curious about the site, something like that. He isn't, he's trespassing, and in my view he was trespassing the moment he stepped onto Bedale Drive.
Some people stood there now. Are they having a cigarette? Are they sort of firing off the site to have a cigarette? It did say back at that gate behind us that it's a no smoking site from there.
The thing that auditors like to do best, their favourite activity, is snitching on people. That could easily be a designated smoking area. Auditors are lovely people, aren't they?
So I'm going to get the zoom camera out and then we'll get a bit of zoom in up here before we're probably asked to leave site.
Before we're probably asked to leave site? In case you were doubting my view that he's trespassing, I would say that's tacit confirmation. Somebody who has implied permission to enter on site will not talk like that because somebody with implied permission is normally expected by the occupier.
So let me change cameras. Right, so say the security gate over there. So footpath and cycle path goes all the way up here.
It is not a footpath, that is a private road and he's on a footway.
I'm assuming that's a smoking area there. Let's have a look, see what we can see from here. So we've got them great big chimneys up there. I mean, they're going to look good when we get the drone up. Don't know what's going on over there. There's all sorts of there'll be like conveyor belts to get material up into the actual place.
You can see the security point clearly signposted. Why hasn't he reported there? BP Visits is then greeted not by security but by a young lady who works on site, and that's where we'll pick this up. Throughout the exchange that follows, BP Visits does not blur out her face in his own video on his channel.
Hey mate, you alright?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Can I just ask what you're doing with that camera?
Oh, just videoing, just anything I can see really. So, is this glass or a metal? Or is it both here?
So this is glass.
Oh, just purely glass here?
Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah, so what can I do you for?
I'll just make a little video really, just as much as I can see. So, are you manager here or anything?
What I've just muted out is the young lady giving her job title. That's her first mistake. By giving her job title, she's revealed personal information about herself to somebody who is continuously filming but has not established his own identity with her or stated his purpose to her.
Any chance of a little tour or anything like that?
Sorry, we don't actually allow anybody on site at such short notice.
Okay, alright, yeah.
What are you from, like an organisation?
No, it's just my own thing. So I just go around industrial estates and find companies I find interesting, just make a little video on them, and you know, just video what I can see, stuff like that. And then what I'll do is usually get some aerial footage to finish it, so I'll send a drone over just to do all that. So
that is a lie. The truth is that you are a YouTuber with a monetized YouTube channel, and your purpose for being there is to film people who react to your presence on site and broadcast their faces on social media for the entertainment and gratification of your followers. That is the truth. The reason you will not admit to the truth is that you know that you are infringing the privacy of anybody who is captured in your videos, and those people can then have those videos taken down by YouTube, and they could also bring a civil claim against you for data and privacy breaches.
Okay.
Just that really, just putting all that together. So it's just a little video.
Okay.
It's not just a little video. You are not just some innocent, harmless photographer. You're taking advantage of people, in this case the good trusting nature of this young lady.
Okay.
Just that really, just putting all that together. So it's just a little video.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll let to know that you're around, because we have got quite a lot of like commercially sensitive stuff.
Okay,
we
all right.
Like external people sharing videos
Right,
as
fair
much
enough.
as we possibly can.
Yes.
We have had issues with people in the past of people trying to come on site and cause trouble. You seem like a really nice guy, so
I'll never cross any barriers. I never cross any barriers. Yeah. I mean, I just walk down. It's a public footpath, so I've walked down here. So I won't cross any barriers. Absolutely won't. That's what I'm here for. I just found a video I can see really. So.
Okay. What I can do is I can ring my site director.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
I don't want to just kick you off and be
no.
with you. I know that, you know, public interest is fair enough. You want to know, we're a big site, you want to know what we're doing.
Yeah.
She doesn't think he's a threat because he's lying to her. I am a little bit surprised they have allowed her to approach him on her own, given that he normally wears a mask. That aside, he still hasn't mentioned who he is and the real reason he's there. This is information he's required to give under Article 13(1) of the UK GDPR, and he's required to explain to this young lady her various rights as a data subject under Article 13(2) of the UK GDPR, which I show on the screen, including the right to have this footage of her deleted from YouTube.
Anything I can glean really, so obviously, you know, you can see it on all YouTube, on Google anyway, can't you?
Yeah,
so you go on Google there, so people
really.
get worried about the drones, but you can see it on Google.
Yeah,
there,
no, don't worry, I'll just see what we can do.
No problem.
So I've got an interested member of the public on the drive.
I muted out two more bits, again, because unfortunately the lady has just given, within earshot of BP Visits and his microphone, the first name of one of her bosses at the plant.
Right here with a video camera. He's just being perfectly reasonable, to be fair. He's just come walking up the drive and seeing what he can see.
She obviously just thinks he's a photographer or hobbyist of some sort. Does she realise that we can watch her on YouTube? She may not care. She may like being in this footage on YouTube for all I know, but again, as I always say, that is not the point. The point is that BP Visits has not explained this to her, and she is entitled to that full disclosure so that she can either give informed consent or ask that he justifies, with reference to a legitimate interest, why the footage should be retained and broadcast without her consent. The fact that she approached him makes no difference to this. That doesn't imply that she consents to be filmed and broadcast on social media at her place of work for all the world to see. If this were a busy thoroughfare somewhere, or some other busy or crowded place, it might be different. But when you capture someone's facial image at their place of work, you are opening the way to identification, especially when the individual innocently provides her job title as well as information about her boss, and you don't mute that out or blur her face.
He did ask, he said, return to the site for...
So it's all about safety here, look, be safe.
I'll skip ahead to when she comes back.
So, just spoken to our director.
Yep.
This part of the site is actually private property here, so you are currently trespassing.
Alright, fair enough, yep.
If you want to leave some contact details with us, that's absolutely fine. We'll see what we can do in terms of, you know, letting you see what we can allow you to see.
Right.
Have you got a card or anything?
I only come for one day, so I won't be coming back. So I just go around, and I go all over the country doing this sort of thing. I've just chose this site today. So I'm here the one shot. So that's it really.
I'm sorry I can't do more for you.
No, that's fine. You've been really good. Yep.
Commercially sensitive stuff going on.
Yeah.
As I say, this part is private, so I'd just appreciate it if you could just move.
Absolutely will. No problem. Sorry, you need to ask me to leave. I'll leave.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. You've been great. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Now I'll summarise for you the personal data that we can obtain in or as a result of BP Visits video. We know the job title of that young lady he's just been speaking to. We know that she works at that plant because she told us. We know where the plant is located, of course. We know what she looks like because he hasn't blurred out her face in his own video. We know from her accent that she's from roughly that same part of West Yorkshire. I recognise the accent. Within about 5 minutes of using Google, I knew pretty much everything about that young lady, including how long she's worked there, her education and where she had attended to earn her qualifications, where she lives. I have her date of birth, her eye colour, the fact that she recently won an industry award in relation to her work. If I'd spent maybe another 10 minutes on it, I can guarantee to you that I would have found out the names of anyone she lives with, how long they've lived there, the names of her parents, siblings. Probably I could find her telephone number. The list goes on. I'm really good at this, so if you left me to do this long enough, I could find out pretty much anything about her. She gave us the first name of someone at that same company, at that same site, who's above her in the corporate hierarchy. It literally took me 10 seconds to find that man's full name. From there, I was able to find out pretty much everything about him. Most of this was easy. I know his full name, I know how he got the job, I know where he went to school and university and what his qualifications are, I know his hobbies, I know his wife's name, I know who some of his closest friends are, and I have the names of most of his work colleagues. I know his date of birth, and I know exactly where he lives. I have his address. Some people would say that there's nothing shocking about any of this because it's public information. And of course it's true that large companies and public bodies regularly feature their staff, and professional services firms such as accountants and solicitors have staff profiles on their websites. This is all very common. Lincoln International Business School at the University of Lincoln seemed to have an academic connection of some kind to Ardagh Group and put out a video 4 years ago featuring the Knottingley plant director of that time.
Hi, my name is Julie Watson. I'm the plant director for Ardagh Glass Knottingley.
Ardagh Group also have their own YouTube channel in which they feature staff at different locations. But the difference between all this and what BP Visits is doing is that the footage filmed by Ardagh Group and Lincoln International Business School is with the consent of the data subject. And the data subject knows in broad terms what will be done with the footage. And there is accountability. The data subject knows that he or she can complain to the data controller, either the University of Lincoln or Ardagh Group, as the case may be. Both are registered as data controllers with the ICO. So the data subject can easily complain to the data controller about the use of the footage, and can even ask that it be erased from public platforms and even from the records held by the data controller. BP Visits, by contrast, cannot offer his victims this level of accountability, or any level of accountability, because he isn't even registered as a data controller. He doesn't even understand the basics of data protection. He does not have the consent of anyone he films, and he does not have a legitimate interest that could outweigh the privacy of the data subject. He can't even tell the truth about what he's doing, and that's because he knows that if he were truthful, his videos would be taken down. The need for consent, or for a compelling legitimate interest, or a public interest justification if it's journalism, does matter, because the privacy and safety of individuals matters. Many of the people who follow and watch auditing channels are mentally unbalanced. They may watch somebody featured in a video and take a dislike to them and decide to track that person, stalk and harass them. We know that DJ Audits, Marty Bladborough and other auditors encourage their followers to leave malicious reviews for businesses that feature in auditing videos. Who's to say that an individual who an auditor features is going to be safe from such people? If an individual is featured in a video without being blurred out, it is possible to piece together that person's identity, even from just a face, provided it's in a context that could identify them, such as a workplace. This is why we have data protection. It's a response to technology that can be invasive of people's private lives when in the hands of irresponsible people. This lady's face now appears all over YouTube without her consent. It's not enough to say she approached BP Visits. That does not imply consent. She may not care that there is footage of her online. For all I know, as I say, she may approve of what auditors do, but not everybody captured in this way will approve of it or like it. A lot of people will suffer great distress at the knowledge that they can be viewed online, especially if the video has been edited in such a way as to embarrass or humiliate them. These are just ordinary people at their place of work. What BP Visits is doing is not honest or legitimate. It never is if you take shortcuts and lie.